Hey YouTube, today we do a deck profile on my Amon Dark Irregular deck. So continuing on with Dark Irregular, because Dark Irregular, it's the best time of the year to showcase the Dark Irregular stuff, I guess. It's just coincidence that they got some new support. But Amon did not really get a whole lot of support, so I'm going to go over the Amon deck. I did tweak it a little bit. Obviously, it has the new Vampire Stride unit in here. It's a little bit different. I changed the lineup ever so slightly. The Perfect Guard's different now, and some other stuff, but we'll go over it here. So, start off, 3 Demon World Marquee Amon. So he's like Lukie. He is really hard to come by now. He was reprinted as an SP in BT12, Binding Force of the Black Rings, back when the reverse Amon came out. But otherwise, this deck is really hard to build now, just like Silverthorns, because a key part, that being the original Amon, the 10k, this guy basically, is really hard to come by. But 3 of him, he's essential. He's the Legion mate for Amon's leader, Astaroth. So I'm running 3 and 3 for the Legion play. Amon himself has retire power, but at the expense of one of your rear guards going into the soul to make the opponent retire one of their rear guards. So he does have retire power. The deck does have Vanguard-based retire power. As you could guess, the other grade 3 I'm running is Amon Reverse. I am a big fan of Amon Reverse. A lot of people don't really like him. The Legion is okay, but the Legion's kind of slow. And the nice thing about Amon Reverse is the cross ride. If you soul charge on a regular Amon in there, then you do gain the defensive power. And plus, this guy doesn't use any counterblast to activate his effects. So his limit break skill is literally lock one of your rear guards. Typically, it's going to be your starter after you use the starter's effect, and then give the power to a rear guard to then lock something. Then this guy will gain 1,000 for every soul, and he gains a critical on top of that if you have 6 or more souls. So he's actually really good. If I was running the limit break enabler, I'd probably run. I probably wouldn't outrun the Legion. I'd probably just run 4 Amon and 4 Amon Reverse. I mean, I feel like that deck is still kind of relevant. Now, the nice thing about the Legion is that it does have the critical pressure once you get up to 10 cards in Soul. But it's a little, I don't know, Legion seems to be having trouble these days, like, being relevant. I mean, I see a lot of people not even running the Cross anymore in the Overlords. They're opting to run the Great instead of the Cross in the end, just because the Great's a little bit more, I don't know, it's weird. Legions are kind of like, Bushiroad is like trying to kill Legion from the game, because for some reason they feel that it was a bad idea. I actually like Legion format and Limit Break format. I like it a lot more than Stride, personally, but I felt like it made players play smarter. But anyway, for grade 2s, 4 Amon's Follower, Hell's Draw. So you gotta run 4 of this because Amon has the ability, unlike the Vampires, this deck can soul charge very early and set up the soul properly so they can get off a really powerful Gillis play later in the game. So Hell's Draw is essential key card to enable them to do that. Next, I'm running 3 Ron Granlin. I've always only ever had 3 of these. For some reason, out of 4 boxes, one of my 4 Binding Force boxes back in the day did not have one of these. So I only have 3 rare Ron Granlins, but that's okay. You only really need 3. It just opens up a spot for an extra tech card of your choice. One of those being Amon's Follower, Psycho Grave. He can, assuming you have 6 soul when you either ride him or call him. Again, that's why we run 4 Hell's Draw. He soul charges 1. Then he gets 5,000 power, so he becomes quickly an easy 14k attacker with a 7 behind him. That's a very easy 21 column. And then Ron is actually a very important attacker because he forms a 21k with the 9 Amon, and we'll go over that combo. That's a really old school setup that's still pretty relevant today. And then 2 Amon's Follower, Hell's Nail. Only 2 because once you have one of these as the rear guard, it always has the pressure when it attacks. Actually, it doesn't even have pressure. Like, when it attacks, you can special counterblast on Amon card, and then you soul charge 3. So you don't need more than maybe 3 of these max, probably. So I guess if I had the 4th Ron Grenlin, I'd probably run like 4 Ron Grenlin and 3 of this, and I probably wouldn't run this guy. But I do like this guy because he gets the 4K power, so he's probably a little bit more relevant than Hell's Nail. But that's basically my grade 2 lineup. I think it's pretty good the way it is. For grade 1s, so this is one of the few changes. I'm now running Flagbreaker in here because my Darkness-based Vampire deck is running the new Darkness Sentinel. So Flagbreaker, I threw him in here. He helps them out, so they have some unflip power when they need it, because they don't really have any way of unflipping. That's one of the big problems with the Amon deck. Next 3 Hell's Deal. It's just the grade 1 version of Hell's Draw. And then 3 Poet of Darkness Amon. So this card's actually really good because once you get 6 soul, and that's almost every single game you'll have at least 6 soul. This is a permanent 9k attacker or booster. So this with Ron is 9 and 12. That's 21. So that's a very easy 21k column. So that's why I run 3 of him. He's very reliable in this deck compared to cards like Doreen. I'm running 2 Doreen in here. She can sometimes do her thing. It depends. She works really well with the starter. But other than that, I opted for this setup. I find this to be a lot more reliable. And then 1 Succubus of Pure Love, just the stride fodder, just as an extra tech card, just to help them stride more, I guess. So that's basically the main deck, except for the triggers. For the trigger lineup, it didn't change. I'm still running 4 Amon's Follower, Sidekick, Waitress. The reason why you can run draws in here is because they don't have a lot of draw power compared to some of the other builds. And you have the cross ride potential. If you do ride reverse, then your draw triggers are very good blockers. They're essentially 10k blockers with the cross ride. And surprisingly, I found it's still pretty relevant, being able to 5k block. It's not as common anymore, but in this deck, in a few decks, potentially like your cross-ride decks, it still works. Next, 4 Amon's Follower, Grousome. So this has retire power basically. When it's soul charged, you can special counterblast. If you have 6 soul, you can special counterblast. Then the opponent has to retire one of their rear guards. So it gets around resist, but I mean you can't really say what you want to retire. They have to pick. Then 4 of the Cruel Hand. This is the Amon Vanilla Critical. And then 4 of Hell's Trick. So this is the Amon Heal trigger. So all Amon triggers, because why not? People will say you should, if you're running draws, you should run Hysteric. Surely I know that, but it's in another one of my decks. And then 2 Amon's Follower, Barmaid Grace. So this is the card that keeps the Amon deck from going away. Without this card, the deck would not be anywhere near as good as the other Dark Irregular builds. So this card alone essentially makes this deck have the most powerful Gillis in terms of his attack power. And it makes your reverse and your Legion attacks really good. So yeah, 2 of this, because it's very essential. If you have 2 of this, you can win, and if you're not up against someone who can retire it or remove it from the field, then you're good to go. For the Stride deck, I am running my 1 Amon's Talon. Rarely do I ever stride this, but sometimes there are some rare situations where it works. One being if you've got your setup with like Ron Grenlin, and you have your Amon 9k behind him, then you can make that column stronger. So there's that. You can add 6 to it, so you can make it hit the next level. Then I am running the 1 Sharot. It's why not. 2 Mask of Demonic Frenzy, because he has on hit retire pressure. And he does help you get up to 15 souls, so he's still a very relevant stride unit in here. 1 Lyra, don't really use it that often. 1 Demagogue, he is actually pretty decent in here. 2 Fresh Blood Frederick, don't really use him that often. And then 2, but I should have 4 of Gillis. So this thing is basically your win condition of the deck. I mean, your only other one you have is the Legion, I guess, and then the reverse with the starters powering them up. But yeah, that, and then we have the G Guardians. So we've got the 3 Agrat, Bat, Marat, and 2 of the Nighttime Gentlemen, Saint Germain. So that's basically my Amon deck. It's, like I said before, it's not really all that different from what it was. Really, I just added the perfect guard, and I think I probably changed the trigger lineup. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think of Amon. Amon is still my favorite Dark Irregular build, just like how Silverthorn is still my favorite Pale Moon build. So let me know what you guys think of the Amon deck. Do you think it's still, like, really good? With assuming you have 4 Gillis, do you think this can win tournaments, or is it kind of, like, outdated now? Looking forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.